in Ephraim, but it's the fact that we don't have 1,000, or we have 1,700 kilometers of roads constructed or ongoing in our Ephraim state. You are the man at the helm of that particular area. You will tell us in specific terms right now if that is a true statement that we have 1,700 kilometers of roads in our Ephraim state.
Yeah, Shakwe, I have been here several times and have made it very clear, because one of the interviews we did here for 2 hours, I was able to rail out those roads to you in clear terms. A lot of people get confused. Now, if I would list out the roads, if we will have all the time to list out the road, I would simply do that and ask that they begin with the addition. Now, if you give me that time, we said we have 1,700 kilometers of road done ongoing in Akwa Ibom State. If we take the major dualized road, if I would start with the superhighway going on between Ekedibno Road and Anuyaron, is 55.1 kilometer with 12 lanes that you have to multiply by 6. If you come to Ikoro, 18 and Road, it's a 20-kilometer dualized road handled by Julius Benja. That makes it 40. Between Etinan and Ndoneo, you have 29 kilometers of dualized road. That makes it 58. If you come back to Etinan Eket is 25 kilometers. That makes it 50 kilometers. If you come to Uyo Ikorekbene, the almighty Uyo Ikorekbene that was claimed to have been previously done, that I have come here to debate, that was not done. It was merely opened up and was left. 25 kilometers. We're still on it. We've crossed the delegate point. We're right now in Ikorekbene, remaining 2 kilometers. That's another 25 kilometers. If you come to Airport Road, handled by Aquatic, is 14.19 kilometers, dualized road that will terminate at Okobodi. And if you go from Okobodi to Yaron, handled by CCECC, that's another 18 kilometers of dualized road. If you were simply to add just simply those dualized roads, then you will have a mental picture. And then we will begin to capture the roads done by local government. If you go to Oborokara, that have not experienced any road previously, it was completely cut off that we had to receive an emergency from the former deputy governor, now senatorial candidate of the PDP for Ikorekbene Senatorial District, Obong Dr. Chris Ekpeyon, sent that SOS, 6.4 kilometers, 6.41 kilometer road between Toydino and Eguerazo. It's been done and completed with 2 bridges. If you leave that place and you go to a place like in the local government was one of the abandoned. And I'm very sure that if you have been around, you will know that there was no road done for a very long while in the local government. That by Peculiar, that opens up in it to Arochuku, is 15 kilometers and is almost completed. We're on the bridge. If you go by these roads, local government by local government, you go to Mparenin. We were in the process of commissioning the Awa Ikoremem Okam Asong Road. That is 14 kilometers. If you go to Ikoroso, there 5 kilometers long completed in Parenin and given to the people for their use. If you go to Ibiono, we had finished 3.5 kilometers leading to the Paraman Road South. If you go to Insidetai, we had finished 4.14 kilometers in Insidetai, fully commissioned. Now, the summation of this, if you take down to do your arithmetic, will lead you to even more. Now, let me show you something that is very interesting about what we have done. If you come to your metropolis here, we're currently doing about 57 direct intervention. An example is the one right in front of us called the Believers Assembly, standing between this Secretariat Annex and the Believers Assembly, linking you back to Oron Road. It was an eyesore. It was impassable. That road has been completed. It's 2.1 kilometers. If you now pick all the link roads and all the internal roads done on Oron in Uyo, from that 57 direct labor intervention, some of them 3.3 kilometers, like the Akar Community Road, opposite Breweries, 3.3 kilometers. It was an impassable road. That links you back to Akar Numudu, leads you to the Commissioner of Police residence. It's been opened up. Now, if you take these bits and pieces and you add them up, you know, the last time I came here, I came with my list. Okay. And then I railed them out. And I wanted people to come on to debate that these roads don't exist. We're doing 12 kilometers in Udongo. Udongo's never had a road. Udongo at today we are at asphalt level. And now if you add this, if we went to Oron was an eyesore created by the last administration. And now we took up those 8 roads in Oron, Agric Lane, a Fiat Street, a Fiat Lane, around the Technical College, Post Office Road. We completed that. And currently on another 8, which includes even the Oron Road and its drainages. If you pick all these bits and pieces, and if anybody has that, who will publish these roads with their kilometers, it will be about 1,700 kilometers. And with the new addition that has been added, like going to Ikorobasi to do a road in Edemeya to link up Ibekwe, like going to Okanafun to do a 13-kilometer road in Okanafun from Ekefe to Ikorokunusun in Okanafun, which was not initially there, like going to Ika to go and open up Ika to Asumene was not even in the 1,700. And if you want an example further, let's go to Orwana, one of the local governments that didn't enjoy any presence of the last administration. On that campus at Obiokpa, one of the campuses, it was a glorified Sunday school. 641 kilometers has been done and completed on Obiokpa. It's been transformed.
Commissioner, I think you rolled out a lot of roads already. Let's have a reaction from the Sumi Senator, who is also here. The last time he was here, he said it is not possible to have completed, if I got you correctly, the Sumi Senator, 1,700 kilometers of roads. Now, let's get your facts. He's here, live in person. You're here as well. So we can dispute the facts or agree on those facts, as the case might be. Do you now, having listened to what he said and the roads he rolled out to you on the radio this morning, do you now believe we have 1,700 kilometers of roads in our Akwa Ibom State?
Well, we want to know first what is the land size of Akwa Ibom State. But I want to say that some of these roads have been opened up, has been earmarked. But all of us are from the different communities. We are from the different communities where these roads are said to be located. And I want Akwa Ibom people to be the judge. Thank God he has mentioned it. But one of the things I would want to ask, why is it not possible in mentioning the roads to tell us how much was provided for it in 2016, 2017, 2018? How much has been released on each of these roads? For instance, if you go to the road, I drove through the road from the airport road through facing Ibesibo Sultan, Nsaratai, on the way to Oron. They have only done the portion dualized up to the point that I can see from the roundabout that gets to the airport. You just branch right. Only about 1.1 or 1.3 kilometers dualized. After that, there is no place that has been dualized. Incidentally, and by God's grace, I have gone through all the 31 local governments in the entire state through the campaigns. And when we went with His Excellency the Vice President to Nsaratai, and when I went on campaign to Mbo, Oron, Okobo, and all those areas in that flank, and we took the Vice President to Nsaratai, you just see that immediately it is 1.2, after 1.2 or 1.3 kilometers of the dualization, it stops. And it got just as it was before, just as it were before now. Now, so I will not dispute that we have 1,700 kilometers of roads in Akwa Ibom State, but I will dispute that it is done by the His Excellency Governor Udom's administration.
In spite of what he rolled out to you.
You don't know. Yes, he's read out the roads. He's reeled out the roads. And he stated a few of them, the number of kilometers. You can count it yourself. But be that as it may, in all this, it is the funds that President Muhammadu Buhari has sent in that they have attempted to use. And they have used it in a manner that is not. I will mind my words. Yeah, we definitely will mind my words. Now, if you go to the Ministry of Works, I have some details on some roads that are said to have been done. For instance, if you go to the construction of the School of Arts and Science Road in Numukum Ikono, you know, this was provided in 2017, it was provided in 2018. Now, it's only 2 kilometers that has been done, but 4.6 billion has been withdrawn. That is paid. 4.6 billion naira has been paid out and withdrawn, that it is used for the road at Arts and Science Numukum Road. Then if you go to withdrawn by his ministry, the Ministry of Works, now you amount, then you go to part of the work has been done from Ecomiman to a point, and from some point through the paint factory to Enang town. At Enang town, they have commenced some works left to Eket and front to Ona area. Some work has been done, but you cannot say that from the amount of money and the quantity and the extent of work done that it is reasonable.
Before we get to the amount of money, Senator, let me point this out. Let's get this fact from you.
Yeah.
Are you disputing the 1,700 fact right here, that it doesn't exist? Let's get that from you first.
This government of His Excellency Governor Odem Emmanuel has not done 1,700 kilometers of road. Most of these roads are the roads that His Excellency Governor Victor Atta and Governor Godswill Akpabio, as they were, did. And that is the totality of what they're accounting for themselves.
Let him respond. He has the right to respond. Let him respond.
Yeah. There are a few things that I want to correct with very much of respect. Now, first, let me correct the impression that this government said it has done 1,700 kilometers of road, some completed, some ongoing. We did not say we've completed the 1,700. And after this debate today,
I admit that now.
Now that you have admitted that, let me go back to the very important question that you raised. You said these roads that we're doing is based on the funds sent by the president, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari. I want to clarify this because I think I had a similar story on an interview previously granted by my brother, Senator Inyang. I want to put it to the senator that this nation, based on our constitution, has several levels of operation. We have the federation account that the totality of funds accruing to Nigeria go into. It doesn't belong to any level of government. After that, they will gather, the accountant general of the federation and those who are involved from the state will share these funds. It's called the Fund Allocation Committee.
Federation
Account Allocation Committee. Having done that, this money goes to 3 levels of government. There's a federal government, there's a state government, and the local government. The federal government takes a portion of this fund for the development of this nation at the apex. The states take their share to develop their states, and the local government have their portion. I want to correct the impression that the money that has come to Akwa Ibom is a justified allocation, not a favor from Mr. President. It's from the federation account, not from the federal government account that the president of Nigeria manages. The president manages the federal government of Nigeria account, not the federation account. The federation account is the totality of our resources. And let me sound this in clear terms. In the federation account of Nigeria as of today, Akwa Ibom contributes 41% to that account. So if a little portion of less than 7-8% accrues back to Akwa Ibom, and the governor uses it judiciously to develop the state, then I don't think it would be justified to say it's the money from the president. I may then ask my distinguished senator a question. How would you explain in several states in Nigeria that these same allocations have gone to them and they have done nothing? I can mention the states. I go around the country. Okay, let me not mention the states.
He has a right. He has a right to respond.
Okay, all right. Now let me also go further to answer some of the things you raised. Distinguished senator, if you would not mind, because this government is about telling the truth, I would like to take you from the studio here. We go to Numukum in Ikono that had not enjoyed any road before Udom came, through this former School of Art and Science, now College of Technology, to establish to you that the length of that road from Justice Okoro's house to the new Ikono Road is 4.61 kilometers. Done, completed, and commissioned. It was in the budget of 2016. It was completed in 2017. We discovered that by the College of Technology that we will have a flood issue. And I wrote back to FGPC that we must do outfall drain, which is 1.1 kilometer, to take the water along that stretch completely away from the road. Otherwise, that College of Technology will go down because of the flood water. That part of it has not been done. The money has not been drawn. Then he mentioned Ikorebida. Incidentally, that's my local government. So I want to put it to you that Ikorebida Road, if you will spare the time to make us tell the truth to our people, Ikorebida is almost, as at today, completed. What has delayed part of that road is that it's not just a road. We're building it with a jetty, a full, complete jetty, because we're in the process of seeing if the federal government will give the complete approval for a refinery at Odu. Now, that refinery will require a landing bay for the materials that will come. And we are putting that bay at Odu, that the road is almost completed, because the Ndonoyo Ikorapate Ikwe Odio Road is just starting about now. Right. Now, if we don't have a landing bay where we have a road, that project of the refinery will be stalled. So Ikorebida is with a jetty, and that jetty has gone at least 50% into completion as of today. Now, he mentioned something about Orowanam. Let me take my distinguished senator and the Akwa Ibom people to Orowanam. There is no road, to my knowledge, called Ikori-Britam Road. It's an aberration. What we have is Ikore-Kara on East-West Road that terminates in my in-laws village in Ibese, Opokoro. That road was given to Hamakop. Hamakop did a shoddy job. And this government had to intervene, having made them on the job, and the entirety of Bill 1 having been released by the previous administration to them without them paying the compensation to take the right of way. We had to terminate that contract to Hamakop about 4 months ago and gave it to JMK. And Hamakop had from Ikore-Kara in East-West Road done about 4.12 kilometers. The remaining portion will terminate at Ibese Okpokoro. It is this government that has awarded Ibese Okpokoro to Ikori-Britam 4.99 kilometers. So, instead engineering, the drainage is almost completed. That was done in the month of November. Now, when you get to Ikori-Britam, this government, for the first time, awarded Ikori-Britam a kefe, Ikoro-Banafara in Okanafun. It has never happened.
Commissioner, before you...
That is Almada. Please, just give me 1 minute.
All right, we have to
I need to clarify this. Okay. I'll do it quickly.
All right.
Now, at Ikori-Britam, that is Almada. We could go have a drive. And I wish that the people of Oruwana, the only other road is Ikore-Kaide, Ikoro-Koro, Uduanwa, Ikori-Britam. That would have brought us to a conference of a runabout of 3 major roads done by 4 contractors that would have completely opened up Oruwanam. We had problem with Lancy Construction. Lancy Construction took money from government and did about R1 billion and barely spent 200 million. And I got to that site. Renaissance went to the middle of that road and began to do a shoddy job. I wrote to LGPC. We terminated that contract and recovered the full costs from Renaissance. You can verify that from Zenith Bank. We awarded it to Aquatic Nigeria Limited. Aquatic started that road. Several of my complaints, the letters are there documented that the quality of this finishing and the drainages do not meet the standard of our dualized road. When they didn't respond after several meetings, we terminated that contract. We're in the process of giving to another contractor. And believe you me, out of the 1.3 billion given to them, 480 million has thus far been recovered. It's in Zenith Bank. These are very viable facts. And I'm on their neck to recover the rest of the money for Akwa Ibom State.
We need to respond to something he said, right? Before we come back to the Senator. Let's respond to what the Senator said, that most of the roads you mentioned were opened up by the past administrations in Akwa Ibom State. A quick response to that.
Okay, now very simply put, thank God that most of these roads have not yet been completed. So how did they open up the road? Which of them did they open up? The Uyo Ikorekbene was a facade that it was commissioned. I've said that several times, that it is this government that started asphalting from point zero, not from middle of the road. Now, if you come to Ikorokwi corner, 18, he mixed up 3 roads and call it one. There is a difference between Ikorokwi corner. Some people call it Uyo 18 road, 20 kilometers. That's handled by Julius Becher. That's a different road. 18 and Noloyo is handled by Wishtino, 29 kilometers of dualized road. As at today, you can drive on that road to Mbok without braking, dualized, completed. What is left on that road is just the bridge at Ekbenupa and the bridge at Mbok. I'm guaranteeing my distinguished senators and Akwa Ibom people that by the end of April 2019, you will drive from 18 to East-West Road done by Wishtino, except the bridges. Right. Now, let me also clarify this.
Very quickly, sir.
Yes, I will do that very quickly. He also mixed up 18 and Eket Road. 18 and Eket Road was inherited by this government, given to CCECC. That road, the entire Bill 1 that is responsible for relocation, for payment of compensation, to give right of way to the contractor, was completely taken out and it was misappropriated. This government has come and creating ways of means of paying the compensation. The delay on 18 and Eket Road is that the projected and proposed value on Bill 1 that we're supposed to use to pay compensation, the administration of Governor Udom Emmanuel did not meet it in the vault. The money was taken out before we came in May 29, 2015. But then we have found gaps, and that is what we are using to pay. He was thinking of what has happened on Eket 18 Road. If you go to Eket 18 Road today, when you come out of Nsirobio, you can drive on a dualized road to Ndia. You can drive on a dualized road to Okon. We are walking on 2 edges of that road. So the impression that these roads have been abandoned by this government is not correct. And I want to appeal to Akwa Ibom people who are hearing me, who live in these communities, to call into the program.
Let me just come in there. Very sorry. A lot of people may have this fear. You know, governments say continue, fine and good. When you start a road project, there is a timeline to every project.
Yes.
But now elections are fast approaching. Nobody knows tomorrow when are these jobs going to be completed. And if I should take you back to the Akwa Ibom State capital, IBB Way, have we abandoned that road?
IBB Way is not a road, it's only having a drainage problem. And let me also help you, sir. The IBB Way, before we got into government, there was a supposed underground pipeline jacking that failed because it was shallower than the IBB lowest point. This government came on board. We wanted to take that water to Ibesikwa Sultan. We discovered it's 18.1 kilometers. The cost was almost 60 billion. Because the portion that goes through the residential area had to be on the ground. And then we would do surface where people are not living. Government did not find it funny to want to commit that amount of money to only the project. We went to the World Bank. The World Bank came in. And the World Bank did the assessment. You know, it takes a process. As I speak to you today, the World Bank is almost at the final point to assist the state government part fund that project. Now, we didn't stop there. I personally went around with you and got to Nkemba and discovered that we had a shorter distance to have taken that water from IBB to Nkemba Trough. Right. We were working on that. And then Julius Beja, that did the pipeline jacking during the last administration that failed, now came up with something else and said, look, we can take this water not to Ibesipo, but take it behind Tropicana to discharge it to the river behind Tropicana, which they had earlier done a job. Okay, that was the same pathway that we took the water from 2-lane, 4-lane through Tropicana. They want to link IBB back to 2-lane, 4-lane, and they believe that it can go. What is delaying it today is that I insisted that my technical team do a due diligence on the technicality, that it will work. It will not be that when we finished, we will discover that it didn't go down.
To stop you, because Senator, you said so much already. Senator has the right to respond, and we close and shut down roads.
Let me say that one thing I appreciate. Is the fact that they have confessed that the quality of work done on the Nseretai Road was shoddy and bad. Okay. And let me appreciate that they have said that they have terminated and awarded to another person. Right. That is a sign of responsibility, because I've driven through there, I looked at it, I said, this is not what Akwa Ibom deserves. Okay. And if they say they have terminated and are in the process of rewarding, it is not, let me say that for decency's sake, I appreciate that, because that what I saw on that road, even the dualized portion, even the median, even the drains, the entirety of it was something that doesn't befit Akwa Ibom.
Right. That's a chapter on roads now. Let's move ahead. You published a book. I want the other commissioner to also weigh in. I'm not sure he has read your book.
No, he's read, but I did book 2 after book 1. But I have book 3 here, which I can give him.
Okay, let's talk about the books and how you got the data in the first place. You had numbers rolled out from that book stating how much, according to you, the state had received on federal allocation, and how much local governments equally had received as well. Yes. And you mentioned the last time that impacts have not been felt based on what was received by the state government. You want to buttress further on that part.
Now, when you consider, sorry, I left some here, and I think he has read it. I gave it to him too. I gave it to all of them and it is online. Right. And those data is from the Federal Ministry of Finance. It's not manufactured by me. Is from data gotten from the Federation Account Allocation Committee, and it's data that is published sometimes by this day newspaper and Times and so on. It's published monthly. Okay. What I did was to put all of them together. Right. And of course, after I published that book 1, all they did was to abuse me. But when I published book 2, they did not. They have read it and they have not said anything contrary to it, that this is not the amount of money they have received.
Because you're the author of that book, let's get the figures from you. Yeah. According to the book and according to you as well, how much has been received in the last 3 years by this administration?
It is there in the book, I'm sure.
You don't have the figures of it?
No, I didn't have the figure of it, because I have it written there and in circulation.
Well, your thought here is that the money had not been utilized effectively.
It has not been utilized effectively. Because if you want to see, look, one of the greatest things that this administration prides itself of doing is industrialization. And all of you and all of us, most of us, have visited the green world technologies in the people who are supposed to do the fertilizer plant in Aba. Now, there is nothing like industry there. And of course, even if you have what one of my friends will call a cement mixer, which I won't go there. Now, if you even visit there, you will not, assuming that there is anything like factory, who owns it? Akwa Ibom State does not have a single shareholding. What His Excellency the Governor says is that he provided the enabling environment. I would want my brother, the Honorable Commissioner, to say, what is the shareholding of Akwa Ibom in the syringe factory? What is the shareholding of Akwa Ibom in the fertilizer? What is the shareholding of Akwa Ibom in the meter factory? What is the shareholding of Akwa Ibom in the coconut refinery? What is the shareholding of Akwa Ibom in the rice mill, supposedly located in the local government and all? Because if you say that this is what I have done with your money, you'll have to state that if this government, when this government goes, the government doesn't even need to go. The government, it doesn't need to as to how much. I mean, as to what is the shareholding of Akwa Ibom. Because you can only say that I have done this if you've invested the money of the state in those industries. And when dividend is declared, our Akwa Ibom state government as a state, as a body corporate, will receive its dividend.
Right. That's on industries for a while. We treat Senator because the commission has spoken for long as well. So let's give it the ample time as well to join the conversation today. Are you disputing the industries? Or one, let's get the facts from you. According to the book you published as well, that the industries do not exist, or they are cottage industries like they have been referred to in some cultures. Let's get your take on that one first.
Now, these industries, for instance, the fertilizer plant is said to be located in Abak. How many times have they produced fertilizer? But that is not even my point.
So your point is it doesn't exist.
My point is that who owns it? It is not owned by Akwa Ibom State government. So Akwa Ibom State government cannot claim that this is what it has done.
Let's establish
now.
Let's
go to the data factory.
A fact from you first.
Yes.
Senator, do those industries exist?
The fertilizer factory.
They say they have 13 of those industries.
Yes, I have seen, and I went for the commissioning of the meter factory.
Okay.
I have seen, and I went for the syringe factory.
Okay.
I have heard of the toothpick industry. I have heard of I went to see the fertilizer plant, but I did not access. I requested, and the owner called and warned me. And of course, I stayed in this station and apologized to him that, look, I did not know it was private investment. So to the extent that I have seen, those ones that I have seen exist, those ones that I have not been able to see
do not exist.
I will not say do not exist, but I will say that it is not owned by us.
All right, let's let the commissioner to weigh in on this match as well, because you're talking for government over quite a bit. The commissioner, first of all, he's mentioned here the last time he came that the ownership of those industries have been kept in almost secrecy. Let's get the facts. And the equity participation of the state is also known to the public. Let's get your take on this one.
I don't think there has ever been a time that the state government said they were using our resources to build industries. What the state government has done in our industrialization drive has been in the public place, is providing the enabling environment. Listen, no investor would have come to Akwa Ibom in between the year 2010 and 2015.
Why?
Because of the insecurity that was touchable in our state. It was so present that the state was avoided, even by indigenes of Akwa Ibom. Now listen, the truth is, the distinguished senators today accepted that most of these rules that are the foundation to any industrialization of any environment, to any development, you need to open up the environment. It's accepted here that these roads exist. Okay. He has only mentioned that only one that didn't meet the standard, and he's also accepted that without being prompted, the government saw it and took the rightful decision. I'm happy that he's acknowledged that fact. The question of what the state money, the state resources, the allocation from the Federation account has been used for is public knowledge. Every year, at the end of every year, there's what we call public account by the House of Assembly that is published. These documents, these records cannot be covered. It's public account. I would demand that my distinguished senator apply right to the Akwa Ibom State House Assembly and pick up this public document, because the figures in what was supposed to be Rome Revelation Book 1 and 2, I saw it and it was laughable and I quickly left it. It's not in its totality correct. Now let me also ask my distinguished senator. Distinguished senator, you were in Akwa Ibom, and at that time, in the first year of between 2007 and 2011, you were in the House of Representatives and you were the spokesperson. You were very prominent in the National Assembly. And between 2011 and 2015, you were a distinguished senator who represented us, who played a prominent role in the National Assembly. I give it to you. Why did you also not think that it was appropriate, as a good citizen of our state, to have also published and requested to know what about 3.96 trillion that accrued to our state in those 8 years were used for? Why are you only interested in the allocation of 3 years that Udom has used? Is it politics? Is it about development? Number two, and very important, all over the world, industries, even in Lagos, are not built by government. When government build them, by mere virtue of appointment, they will run down because of management. So what government does is provide the enabling environment. Governor Udom has done that by creating a peaceful environment in Akwa Ibom. Several other investors are coming. If the Emir of Kano can leave Kano and come to Akwa Ibom to want to invest, then there must be something attractive about this state. Now, if in 3.5 years, because we were not here, that in the last 8 years before the coming of Governor Udom Emmanuel, Akwa Ibom were promised 31 industries. And I remember the last time I came to the studio, I said even if these 31 industries were cottage industries owned privately, one thing would have been clear. They would have employed Akwa Ibom sons and daughters. Right. Now, if he is saying, because I remember that when the vice president of Nigeria, Professor Osibanjo, came to Akwa Ibom, he did not only commission the metering factory, he also commissioned the syringe the same day. Yeah. Okay, you didn't mention that. You said you saw the metering factory.
No, I said I was there as the commissioner of the meter factory and the syringe factory.
Okay, the flour mill is standing between Mbok and Okad, is almost ready. They are set to start production. I don't know if anybody would drive on the road that Governor Udom Emmanuel has just completed, Mbok Okad Road 5 kilometers, and not see the imposing flour mill standing there. Today, by the time the coconut refinery is completed, we are peddling ourselves that we will no longer be dependent on oil because the price of coconut oil is higher than the price of the crude oil that we are busy selling. Now, the coconut refinery is standing at the Korobasi. It is conspicuously on East-West Road. The issue here is not who owns this factory. The issue here is, are these factories in Akwa Ibom, are they going to add to the economic benefit of Akwa Ibom? Are the Akwa Ibom sons and daughters already being employed in this industry? Because if Udom Emmanuel, the governor, had come into Akwa Ibom and made 31 functional industries owned privately that were doing business in Akwa Ibom, he would have built on that. Two things would have happened. Our sons and daughters would have been employed. And again, it would have generated IGR. What makes Lagos tick is not that Lagos State owns industries, but those environments are available. They do business and they pay taxes to Lagos State government. That's why Lagos State government is one of the few states in Nigeria that can do without going cab in hand to Abuja. Finally, I want to rail at these industries and ask my distinguished senator if there is anyone that he has doubt about. Syringe, he has acknowledged. Metering factory, he has acknowledged. Flour mill is between Mbok and Okad. I think he should go and see it. The rice mill, Adini. I came to this studio when I came with a car program. Yes. And I heard when their team went to it, and they said, Inyang, the MD of Verini, told them that the rice mill is owned by him. I took my phone and called Inyang. Inyang said he has not discussed any such things. He does not even know where the rice mill is in it. So I think it's a bit of politics where these things are just said. And if Inyang is hearing me today on the program, I want him to call in to claim ownership of the rice mill that he does not even know the location. Now, the Aqua Prime Hatchery, the fertilizer blending he's talking about, we didn't say we built a fertilizer plant. There's a difference between a fertilizer plant and a fertilizer blending industry. They are two separate things. So that blending plant is at the back, it's functional. They didn't talk about, he didn't deny toothpick, he said he has not seen. The pickup paint is an example of an old industry that was in Akwa Ibom. Due to the fact that it was owned by government, it was mismanaged. It died. It has been revived. And today, anything I do, including government projects, we use the paint from pickup paint. I can sit here and call the general manager of pickup paint, and he will supply my distinguished senator some paint at my cost to prove that the pickup paint is working. If you also will agree with me, you will agree that the governor said when he went to you that any moment from now, the ceramics that had existed, that went there because of poor management, is being revived. I want to ask a simple question. Will it not be in the interest of Akwa Ibom that even those ones that were owned by government be revived and allowed to be managed in private hands, just like the federal government did the privatization of our company. I don't see why we own 3 refineries, and the 3 refineries are not working.
Right, Mr. Senator, I need to stop you. Yeah. So we need to get back to him. But let him answer this question. Yes. You haven't even answered my question, Honourable Commissioner.
What was your question?
The question is that is anything not open to Akwa Ibomites on the ownership structure of those industries?
No, I did. Now, if you pick up the public account, the detail of every expenditure year by year, even if it was not obtained before the coming of Udom, being a financial guru, every year we do the financial statement of this state. And if you are, it's a public document.
On equity participation of the state on those industries.
I think he has answered. Let me come in. Let me appreciate my brother, the Honorable Commissioner, because much of the questions I've always asked, he has answered them now. He's answered to the extent that what the government simply does is provide enabling environment. He has also stated that the government does not own any share in these companies.
No, I didn't say so. I said pick up the public account from the ministry, from the House of Assembly. It will give you specific details because by my nature, I like to be very specific. I do not want to give approximately. I want to be very, very specific. I don't supervise the industry, but I know they are there.
No,
but if
I really appreciate that.
Yes, if you go to the House of Assembly, the public account, Friday Work is the chairman, he will make that document available. But the main issue that I'm insisting on is that what is important is that those industries are here. Even if the equity participation of the state is low, it doesn't matter. That we have the industries and our people are working there and we are generating ideas.
Now, I think I would want the government to state, because the greatest of what His Excellency the Governor, Udom Emmanuel, has always said is that he's applying the money of the state on industrialization. And if you see all their campaign is called Mr. Industrialization. And you cannot be you cannot answer if you are not telling us what is the equity participation of the state. And I like what you said. That is it not possible for us to have the equity participation of the state in each of these industries? Because if you say that you've done an industry, you let me know that you've applied my funds. Now, he's read the question. Why did I publish Ediyaradu Udom Book 1 and I published Ediyaradu Udom Book 2, The Revolution of Udom? Now, I published it because first, His Excellency stood in the stadium and said that the federal government has not been giving him money and that even the derivation he's not been receiving. If you look at the foreword to Book 1, I stated and quoted His Excellency the Governor verbatim in what he said at the Uyo Township Stadium when they launched one of their outreaches, and I had to come and publish that. And when they said, look, we are applying the money of the state on industrialization, I had to say, okay, if you are publishing using the money of the state on industrialization, and from June 2015 to December 2018, this is how much you have collected. Tell us how much have you invested in each of these industries, and then where then is the rest of the money? Right. Now they have. I'm very pleased with him because he has stated that he cannot say what is the shareholding of the state in any of these industries. But what he can say is that the governor has provided enabling environment. The enabling environment is security.
Just a quick one. Yeah. You've raised the point, and I think it's important to address the point as well. You've gone through the pain of releasing the figures of how much the governor has received in the last 3 years. He's also asked what happened from 2007 to 2015. Why haven't you published how much had come to the state in those 8 years?
No, there was no dispute as to what came at that time. And the governor did not at that time say he didn't receive. Each of the governors had admitted what they have been receiving. The House of Assembly had been stating publicly, and the government had been stating what they have used it to do. You could see the stadium, you could see all the roads, you could see the airport, you could see and when you see each of this, you can say how much has been. Now, even this government has stated that it has built another terminal building. And in this Room Book 3, which is about to be published, the amount that they have used in building that terminal, the terminal, is stated there, which is very embarrassing. And of course, we all fly through that terminal, through that airport, and you will not see that terminal building. The only thing I have seen is that they have built a place that is now used as an art gallery, a shop, and a restaurant. And the amount stated to have been released on that project is 745 million naira out of 745 million naira in the first instance. And that was in 2016. Now, the total of what has been released on that supposed terminal is 2.2 billion naira. Now, why did I publish this again? When you tell me that that restaurant that is standing at the airport is 2.2 billion naira, and the first amount that was released in the name of that is 745 million naira, 745 million naira for that restaurant building. I mean, I have to publish and say, this is how much you collected. And that document is not from me. It is from this document that is published by the state state government, Akwa Ibom State of Nigeria. Annual report of the Accountant General with audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2016. That is what is contained. And if you look at the figure I have quoted is on page 61, item number 565. Now, so if the I'm sorry, I apologize.
No problem. Just
now, if this is what they have stated, and this is what they did with the money, then we have to publish that. Look, this is what you got to, so that you say, what did you do with the money? Now, we also have this question of the second runway, according to His Excellency Udom's administration, that they are building or completing the second runway. I know that he will admit that that is not a runway, that is a taxiway. Now, how much has been invested in it as at December 2018? You know, these are all the matters that made me go to book 1, book 2, and now book 3.
Right, before you publish this book, distinguished senator, do you even bother asking questions from the relevant agencies?
Yes, I ask and receive, and that is the part of what I've said. What I've said is from this book published by the state government, the Office of the Accountant General. And those are the things I say, and I obtain them. And sometimes I find it difficult to get documents from the State Assembly because you can't even find, you may not really, with respect to my brothers and my colleagues in the State Assembly, you may not be able to get the votes and proceedings showing budget as passed.
You're a parliamentarian.
I'm a parliamentarian, so I am very careful about that. Now, when you don't get that, you have a means of getting it, and I bring them out, which is what they don't want to bring out. So, but thank God, all the things that I'm saying here is from the publication of the state government. To round off this
conversation before we go to the Honorable Commissioner,
you're
therefore saying that perhaps the claims by this government on the construction and the money spent were fictitious or are fictitious.
Sorry again? Say again.
I'm saying the claims and the monies allocated for those projects are fictitious. Is that what you're saying?
Much of this project, money had been released without being used for the roads. Most of them, they are just going back to them now. If you look at the convention, what they call the convention center, still in their document, the convention center. If you go to this place, you won't find anything called the convention center. You know, you won't find any amount that is said to have been spent on the convention center, but great billions had been released and taken out of the treasury in the name of the convention, International Convention Center. Now, we went...
Do you have facts to what you're saying?
Yes, it is
that
from...
these monies were released.
It is in their documents. And go. I will leave this with you. Now, you have the funds released as on the International Convention Center. It is on page 59 of this book. It is item number 463. It is 1,516 billion had been released in the name of International Convention Center. You know, I mean, this is fact, and this is what I obtained, and it's everywhere. And we also even have the voucher. The voucher we have the voucher.
Funds released.
Yes, and the accounts they went into. The account they went into.
Lastly,
and these matters are now questions of public knowledge, and are going to be matters for questions.
Have you also petitioned the EFCC on this matter that you suspect to have been wrongfully dealt with in the first place?
No, I have not done that, and I won't do that. That is not my realm. I will not do that. And that is not my realm.
Commissioner, I know this is not your area.
This is not my realm.
How I wish the finance commissioner was.
And I don't want to go to that extent.
Is there a possibility that money allocated or captured in a budget could be released without having evidence?
It is absolutely impossible. And see, unfortunately, I was smiling when my brother, the senator, was reading out and then showing a document. He's showing a public account document of 2016. And he doesn't have 2017, he doesn't have 2018.
I have all of them, but I'm just one. Like I have 1, 2, and 3. I'm coming.
So now my brother didn't answer the question you asked him. And I think you have forgotten. He said, why didn't you publish? And since you said you knew what was released in the previous government, let me now ask you, as a person, when those figures were rolled out, those projects that were started in this state, which your team calls projects that can be named after people, will you name the specialist hospital, or will you name the Tropicana, or even the airport, the MRO that was at the airport, that administration that you said the resources were well channeled? Will you give account, since you knew and you were satisfied, will you give us account as Akwa Ibom people for MRO? Will you give us account for what was spent at the specialist hospital, which I have stated here is only the ground floor and part of the first floor, that the other 2 floors are not even completed? Or will you also tell Akwa Ibom people you were satisfied with the deployment of resources at Tropicana that remains incompleted? And you said this money were used on roads that were not done. I want to sit down here and tell you, distinguished senator, that in the road sector, which I think I have every detail, I want to put it on record to Akwa Ibom people that every kobo released on road project from June 2015 till date can be accounted for with extra, except you exclude the abuses of Eket Ibadan Road that we made badly mutilated. You exclude Eket Enang Road that the last government awarded that was badly mutilated. You exclude the shabby thing that was done on Uyu Ikore Kara to Ibesle Bokoro. For every new award of the Udom government, nobody can find anything that is contrary. But then, if the distinguished senator is saying that 750 something million was released for that thing that was built, and then he said
where
were released. No, at the airport.
Yeah.
The restaurant and the thing.
Yes.
And you now said what was budgeted for is 2.1 billion. I want to sit down here and say that it is not possible for 2.1 billion to have been budgeted for the event center. I want to sit here and establish the fact that there could have been several other things that were supposed to have been done at that airport. One of them being that for the first time, the airport was running on generators, absolutely, all the years. And this government came and said, we have electricity supply. Why don't we bring in lights, bring in transformers, and let this system now run on the national grid? And that cost a lot of money. I don't have the details, but I believe that what he may be reading, maybe that project, that this one was just an accessory, that's just a part of it, that the central thing that was done was to take the airport for the first time into the national grid. But I would like the senator who said he is satisfied, he was satisfied, and is still satisfied with the 3 point something trillion that came in and he mentioned a few of the projects done, even the airport, sir. I want to sit here without fear of contradiction, that the airport standing in Uyo, the Godswill Obodo International Stadium, is not complete. All the indoor games that were supposed to be done are not ready. And since you said you are satisfied, what is your comment on these incompleted projects that the full complement of resources were taken out? And you didn't publish the revelation of Godswill Akpabio 1, Godswill Akpabio 2. It should have been up to 8. You've published 3 for Udom for 3 years. Okay. We need you to go back and publish the 8 books of Revelation of Godswill Akpabio 2017 to 28 to 15 to see how justified and sincere you are as a leader to Akwa Ibom people. You can't take the job in the middle of the road. If somebody said, I received 3 billion, it's your place as a watchdog, as a representative of the people, to go into the details. I want you to come back to give Akwa Ibom people the details of what was done at that time. The moment you have done that, I will get every head of the department of the things you have raised to come public with the details. But until you do that, we consider what you've done in the last 3 years as mere politics.
Okay.
Go back, give us valid details of what came in for 8 years, and the Revelation book 1 to 8, telling us how satisfied you are with Tropicana, how satisfied you are with the specialist hospital, how satisfied you are with the MRO at the airport and the entire airport project, how satisfied you are with most of the acclaimed roads. Because as I sit here, if you come up with that revelation, I will be in a place of authority to counter it.
Let me know the 4 point by Sheraton.
Yes, okay, 4 point by Sheraton, yes. It was one of the things that was raised, and thank you, sir. 4 point by Sheraton was said to have been completed that Governor Udom Emmanuel refused to commission it. You can commission a skeleton as a hotel. What we made on ground, and you can confirm this morning from the House of Assembly visit. And one of my friends who was part of that assembly came back and confided in me before I got into government that what was there.
So difficult for this present administration to institute a proper.
No, listen. No, please, my distinguished senator. Let me answer your question. If you get into government and you don't do due diligence and you get into a probe, what you would simply have done would have been you would have done a shoddy job. I come to you today with data on road, having traversed every of those roads in person. I now compare the records to be able to establish what I'm saying. That's why if I talk on roads in this state, any road, nobody can counter me because I've done due diligence. What we met on ground was a bit very funny. And so we needed to take time to dissect them. And let me also tell you, like he said, you ask him the question, will he go to EFCC? He said no. I don't also believe that the answer to our problem is running to external sources to help us. Because in other climes, they don't destroy their own. They don't. It is when people do not understand what it is. But I want to put it on record that until the public begin to make requests of what they do not know, that is when you begin to release this information. There's a Public Information Act. Now, if I just sit in my office and feel that I should insult someone and begin to make public information available, that would be wrong of me. Until recently, when one barrister, Ephraim, wrote to me that if those information had not been available, he was going to court. And he was justified giving his backing as the Information Act. It was released to them. I have sat here to say, if the senator said the House of Assembly may not have those records, I want to ask Senator.
No, I said, there you often do not and cannot get record of the votes and proceedings of budget passed.
Okay,
I'm being specific.
I'm a
legislator and I'm advisor on the legislature.
Okay,
I know what not to say about the legislature.
Okay, I want to ask the distinguished senator: did you make any attempt to write to these individual ministries to get these detailed specification? Because you have never written to me to ask me what is the status of this road or that road, and you didn't get a reply.
What is public knowledge? You don't need to ask. Okay, let me respond to these questions about what I did not publish in
2015.
Yes. Yeah. You remember that when His Excellency Governor Udom was secretary to government to Governor Akpabio, as he then was. And all the projects you are talking about were done and concluded with Governor, with Udom Emmanuel, with Deacon Udom Emmanuel, as he then was, as secretary to the state government. Now, he is now the governor who inherited those things. Now, if you talk of 4 Point by Sheraton, Udom sat there, went for the commissioning, sat and took tea and took drinks there in the hotel, and enjoyed the hotel at that time. You know, he did not say it's not complete. Udom was part of the commissioning of the hospital. It was done under his office as secretary to the government of Akwa Ibom State. Now, if you talk of publishing, you remember that I ran a series in this state, which I titled Akwa Ibom Kpukpuru versus Godswill Akpabio. That was public knowledge. You were reading even from Lagos. You know, I ran a series on things that I thought was wrong. Akwa Ibom Kpukpuru versus Godswill Akpabio. You understand? Now, so it's not a question that at any point anything was wrong and I did not raise it. We were in the same party, but I still had to raise issues. But then, let me say that, thank you, you said that it is not everything you run to the security agencies. I don't believe in doing that. I don't even, because I believe that the security agencies should, even if without being prompted, do their job. Right. And of course, all the publications I've made, I have made them saying that it is under the Freedom of Information Act, because the public is entitled to know. And of course, one thing I appreciate about you and His Excellency the Governor is that none of you has stated that any of the things that I have said there is wrong. In book 1, all of you everybody went to town abusing me.
Have they responded to the things you wrote?
No.
Did you get an official response on those publications?
No. Because there is nothing to say about it, because the information is correct, because I provided the website and everybody went to the website that provided the source, the Federal Minister of Finance. I provided the source, Federation Account Allocation Committee. I even provided funds that were given, that were gotten, which were from the Ecological Fund, which does not go through Federation Account Allocation Committee. What they got then on the ecological. Now, this is what I have done, and they have not controverted any of the things that I have said. Now, the question is, what did you use it for? He's attempted to justify what he's been doing it, or what they have used it to do on road. And he has said one thing which I appreciate, that they do not, he doesn't know the extent of shareholding or equity participation of the state government, which is why I asked, this is what we've given you from the federal government. How much have you generated internally? Because you cannot have internal revenue generation record of the state government published. It's not. Now, if you add what you have gotten from the federation account, add to what you generate internally, and again, where is the money? Like I will ask. I won't ask you now, because I will only ask you of works. I will ask His Excellency, my brother, my very good friend, Governor Udom Emmanuel. Udom, where is the money? Because one, teachers are crying, pensioners are crying, retired officers are crying, workers are crying that they don't even give them impressed to work with. Other workers are crying that when you promote, you don't pay promotion allowance. When the unemployed are crying that you have this state have not employed them. Others who were employed by the Akpabio administration, when the Udom Emmanuel government administration came, they terminated them. Now there is so much tears of poverty on the streets, you know. So if they have done some few roads and have stated what they have used it for, and they have stated that they have not applied these monies for industries, they have only created enabling environment. Now, this enabling environment, does it translate to shareholding? But I appreciate that enabling environment, the previous government had been providing. Okay. The present government is providing additional to it, and the economy seems to be picking. Now, all I'm saying is, where is the money.
All right. No.
Please, let me just answer a question. Please, I must answer. Please, I need to say something. Please, I need to say something.
Let's get response.
You said the last government was providing the enabling environment. Why was not one industry? Why didn't we have at least one industry out of that enabling environment? And I didn't sit down.
Udom was secretary to government. He was party to the government.
Okay, let me answer you, sir. Let me answer you, sir.
Or did it mean that he didn't bring all his wit into that government?
Wait. Udom came on the scene. I hope you still remember August 2013, at about the time that government was winding down. And I'm sure you would know that the Ibom Specialist Hospital that you said you went for the commission was almost completed in 2014. And so if he came on board...
When he was secretary to government.
When he came on board in August 2013, he couldn't have been part of that hospital that you said was in his office. And then you went ahead to say that, oh, he went for the commissioning. I don't think that there was any point that 4 Point by Sheraton was commissioned. They went on an inspection. Yes. Inspection is different from this thing. So if they sat there on an inspection, it didn't mean the hotel was completed. If you give out a project, you can visit the hotel every day. But I think, sir, you have very carefully refused to answer the principal question that I asked you. Yeah. I want to still take you back to that question. What you've done is dance around the question of the things you published. I want to be able to take you back. In the publication of, you call Revelation, Udom book 1, 2, 3.
No, Udom.
Well, Udom means Revelation.
Yes.
Udom book 1 to 3. You went into very specific details.
Yes.
And you claim to have published some things, because I believe that if you are willing to do what you are doing now, then some of the projects that you acclaim as special dawn project of that administration, you won't be able to face the public. Now, if you want to put the blame of the Ibom Specialists that started like 4 years before Udom came on board August 2013, in 2014 June, it was commissioned. Do you expect that the Ibom Specialists from foundation, from design, would have been built under 10 months? I don't think so. Okay. Now, if you were able to get this document, I want to ask you, and this is very specific, please. You said, I told you that the state government does not have a shareholding. I didn't say so. I told you I don't have the specific details. Yes. That does not mean the state government does not have any shareholding. And you now went ahead to say the last government provided the enabling environment. I don't want us to leave here without you telling us if there was an enabling environment between 2007 and 2015. The 31 industries that were promised then, what were your questions? Because we didn't meet any of the industries on ground. What happened? So if we don't provide an enabling environment only, and in 3.5 years has come up with 14 industries, then something is wrong somewhere. And then I want to correct this impression that you are giving to Kwebum. I don't think that there was at any time Udom said the federal government is not giving. The federal government does not give Udom money. The money comes from the federation account. It's not the federal government. Federal government takes about 50-something%. That's federal government money. The president does not give Udom money. The money that we receive is our entitlement from the federation account. So Governor Udom could only have said that we have been shortchanged from the federation account, which is what I know authoritatively, that the totality of the oil we produce and is sold is not accounted for from our federation account. You give our people the wrong impression that federal government gives the state government money. The federal government does not give the state government any money. The money comes from the federation account, which constitutionally is a right, not privilege. And let me also take you, because I was part of the team that fought for the ecological fund, because I took the ecological team from the Senate to Calabachu, that has almost collapsed now, and a distinguished senator from Benue State, Gimade, was the leader of that team. I want to state here today that Akwa Ibom State is the only state that has not received any part of that ecological fund. Cross River was paid, Akwa Ibom was omitted. Up till today, what you find is an approval. That fund, the then minister refused to release that money. In the 3.5 years, Akwa Ibom has not received anything from ecological fund. I can be quoted anywhere I was part of the team that went in pursuit, because when the team of Jimade came, I was directed by His Excellency to take them to Kalabaitu. I took them around the state. They gave promises. I saw the memos that were sent. The approvals all went through. But Akwa Ibom, when the funds were eventually paid, was omitted. And please, before we go into another subject, the last time you did interview, I overheard you talking about Kalabaitu Road being done.
Yeah.
Distinguished Senator, I want to state here with every respect to your person that Kalabaitu Road is not being done. Kalabaitu Road is partly a little portion, under a kilometer, excavated. There's nothing wrong on that road. Kalabaitu Road in its entirety has collapsed, that you can spend 2 days if a trailer falls on that road to go to Calabar. And I went to Julius Berger in writing to request why they are doing such a shoddy job. They told me that they were given a similar contract between Kaduna and Kano, and they were given 70% of the funds for the road. And that in the case of Akwa Ibom and Cross River, that they have not even been paid the mobilization. And so when I heard the distinguished senator talk about Kalabaitu Road being done, I felt like I should cry, because incidentally...
That's a quick response for him, because what you said is a way
Yeah, yes, I'm glad he said it. Now, before I got there, I'll get there. Let me ask you. I will get that first. Okay, I'll get there first.
Yeah, it's important.
The Calabar-Itu Road is being done. I'm sure he is. I know he's commissioner for works, and he has gone to the place and see that they have started doing the job. I have not said that they have completed Calabar-Itu Road. Now, and if you say that Julius Berger has said that they have not been given even mobilization. Now, you've spoken of Bill 1, Bill 2. Now, Julius Berger has been mobilized on this project. And it is from the mobilization that they have opened their site office. It is from the mobilization that they have excavated the road. It is from the mobilization that they have done infrastructure relocation. That is relocating the electric poles to the appropriate points within the road corridor, which has been opened. It is from the mobilization that they have paid compensation. Now, compensation in the sum of 595 million naira, 555 million naira have been paid to owners of crops, buildings, and other properties from Ayadere, about 1.2 kilometers from the Kalabaitu, at a point that you used to have a 4G-roll workstation, from the 0.0 kilometer of the project to where you have the terminal point of the project at Mbaro-Buitam. It is Mbaro-Buitam, where we used to call Akbayat, that the campsite office of the company is located. Now, from all the people who own property from there, between there and here, if you go even now, you will see bulldozers and other machineries pulling down houses, even now. And you cannot pull down houses and trees and economic crops without paying those compensation. Compensation has been paid to the tune of 595 million naira.
So work is ongoing.
The work is ongoing. Let me answer this. Yes. He said that he will not be able to provide details of the shareholding of the companies. I want to assure him that I will provide him the details.
Yeah.
I will provide him and the government and the general public the ownership structure of the meter factory, the syringe factory, the fertilizer, the coconut, and the rice mill. And because that is public information, that is public information. I will get I have it, my law office has it, but I didn't want to publish it without the consent of the shareholders. Because if I publish it, I may be infringing on the investment privacy of the real shareholders. What I'll do is that I will provide the ownership structure and provide their zero or whatever the Akwa Ibom has, but I will not put the owners so that I do not infringe on the privacy of investment according to law.
Lastly, before we go back,
please,
Shogbe,
just
there
a
was
question.
another question, yeah?
No, just a question.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Calabash.
Yeah.
I want to find out if the portion of the road I saw is what you are discussing. There are no buildings there. If it is that portion of Ibiono, part of that road.
No, Ibiono, we've not gotten to Ibiono.
Okay, if it is that portion of the road that has been excavated, as at last week Friday, when I paid a visit to that road, the electric poles are still standing at the center of those roads.
Let me tell you what has happened.
Yeah.
If you see, the electric poles are still standing on the center of the road because what they have done is to plant new poles at their new location and then string those poles so that when it is completely strong and linked onto the power, they will power it before they bring down these other cables on the ones that they are standing.
When will this be done? Because it is not yet done.
No, I was there. I was there even 2 days ago.
Can we from here drive there?
Please, we can go there. Please, we can go there. Wait. No, just 1 minute.
Okay.
If you go there, you will see precast drains, which are being laid. Precast drains.
Not
by
laid
Julius
here.
Major.
No. By the side.
There are a lot that are being kept at the side, but on the left-hand side, when you are going, you have they are being laid. Now, on the right-hand side, they are excavating on the right-hand side for the drains. Now, I segmented the road into two sections,
okay.
But they're actually going to be 3 sections. Now, section 1 is the portion from Odukpani to where you have the power station in Cross River, still within Odukpani.
Is anything going on there?
Now, section 2 is the Akwa Ibom end of section 1 of lot 1 is from the Ayadere, what I normally love to call the Forgy camp, to Akpaya, that is Mbarobitam. Now, that is the section that has been awarded lot 1. Now, in putting lot 2, because the amount of money I was able to get in the budget that the president provided that was provided by the president in the budget was not able to take the entire stretch at once. And that is why you have the Kano Medugri section, you have section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5, up to 5 sections. So that when there are funding, you fund it lot by lot, and then you give it sometimes to different contractors so that you can get concentration. Now, when the one that is going to be lot 2 is what I described as outstanding portion of Odukpane into Calabar Highway, and with a hyphen, E2, from E2 to Ibiono, Ikono, Sport to Ididep, Itam. That is the exact. And that is the one that we have 11 billion naira. In fact, I think even the Ministry of Works had some problem. That's why they couldn't start, because some people thought that this 11 billion was to come to fund the one that has been awarded. It is for the section that is yet to be awarded, which is going to be awarded in the next very few weeks.
Distinguished Senator, if the federal government of Nigeria can award a road direct contract from Kaduna to Kano and pay 70% upfront.
That's not correct.
That's correct.
No,
I will provide you the figure.
That was done under the previous administration. This is continuation of funding.
No, distinguished Senator. Yeah. Do you have an idea what is the total distance between Ikoregbene Road entering into Calabar to Odukpani? With the resources coming from us here, is that road too long for the federal government to have awarded, even dualized at a go, rather than breaking it into 3 units? The question is, if one section, which they are working on now, is even to be completed in the next 1 or 2 years at the rate they're going, what happens to the greater part of that road? Will it improve economic activities or traffic on that road?
Now, what we're doing is considering it in sections and in lots. The same thing we did in the East-West Road. The same thing that is done in Lagos-Ibadan. The same thing that even Akwa Ibom State government is doing in the Ekomim and Enang Road, which is being sectored and sectored and sectioned, and then divided into lots. The one from Ephraim to Enang is handled by another contractor as a lot. The one from Enang to Mbok is awarded to another contractor, another lot. The one from Enang to Eked is awarded to another contractor, another lot.
The thing with Senator is done together. It's done together to bring out the economic benefit. Yes, these three contractors are working simultaneously so that the economic benefit can be derived. Have you awarded the 3 lots so that we can derive economic benefit?
You can only award according to what the federal government can allot to a federal particular road.
Let's close the chapter.
Yeah. So what we get, that is the only possible we can get as the state providing the highest revenue to the federal government in the 3 years of the APC government.
Much of the money is given to you. Why don't you do what Governor Fabio did?
That's confederation account.
Why don't you do what Governor Fabio did?
What did Governor Fabio do?
Which he took the section from Ecomiman to Tam Junction to Ekem Junction, linking the Calabar to road, and did it with the federal, with the state fund, and approval has been given for the money, 78 billion to be released.
Have you refunded the 78 billion?
We've refunded to you.
You have not refunded. That's not correct information. That's not correct information.
Yes. Why don't you take it?
The money has not been refunded.
Let's get back now. Before we go, we have 30 minutes left.
Yeah.
We have the 1 hour, 30 minutes already on this program today. Now let's talk about the last few years of Udom Emmanuel administration in totality.
Yeah.
Your assessment. How would you assess the last 3 and some few years of Governor Udom Emmanuel's administration in Akwa Ibom State as governor? So much so that he's seeking re-election for a second term.
Well, my assessment of Udom's administration is that he has not done well, and that is why Akwa Ibom people say that the Udom's administration has failed, and it is fail and go. Now, fail and go in the sense that when you consider the amount of money that the federal government has given to him from the federation account and the amount that he has expended on infrastructure and the cost of each of this infrastructure, when you consider the human suffering, when you consider the welfare of workers that has not been provided for, when you consider the suffering of students, when you consider the rate of unemployment in the state, when you consider the level of not being transparent in what he is doing with public funds, now you have to pass a judgment like we've passed that it is fail and go. No, now this is why we've said that the APC administration should come in and we vote in His Excellency Obong Simaikere as governor. We vote in President Muhammadu Buhari as president, and we vote in all the senatorial candidates, Obong Senator Godswill Akpabio for correct manner, Right Honorable Basietum for Uyo, and Senator Nelson Ephraim for Eket, and all the House of Assembly and the House of Representatives on the platform of the APC. And again, there is a benefit that we normally always get being linked with the federal government. Now, we want to go back and link ourselves back with the federal government because President Muhammadu Buhari will win the election. Right. And we want to be linked up together with the federal government. Now, if you consider, again, the level of poverty, and when you ask, and people are saying they're suffering, and they will wrongly say that it is the federal government. Meanwhile, the federal government has brought down money to them. When you consider also the plight of local government, the plight of retired teachers, the plight of pensioners all over, who have not been paid their pension, who have not been paid their retirement benefit, who have not been employed, the unemployed, with the funds gotten. And when you consider the deceit of the people, I withdraw that. I withdraw that. I apologize for that. I apologize for that. No. I apologize for that.
When you sorry, the distinguished senator, you have said so many things, but from what you've said, I totally want to believe now that you don't see anything good, that there is no need for the electorate to reconsider the vote, casting vote for Governor Udom Emmanuel. You've said something about transparency of public funds, but let me just take you in a lighter mood. I was not here, but I used to hear comment from you, Akpabio Fukudum, Akpabio Mebop Stadium and Nondianga, the likes of Akpabio, Amebo Flyover and Nondianga. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Have you collected this change?
Now the change is going to be provided when the account of the stadium is published. That is how much we built the stadium with. And what was I asking? I was asking on a very serious note that when you are building or constructing a project, like the federal government does, you should be able to say, this is how much was budgeted. This is how much has been spent in this year and this year and this year. This is what I asked as Inyang. The Inyang was not to be given to me, but state what it has been used, how much has been used, and how much is remaining. That is what is the cost of that project, so that we'll know how much you collected, how much you used, and what were the sources of funding of this project. When I said Akpabio Fukudum, I was serious about it. Because at that time, Governor Udom was always complaining, and his people were always complaining that Akpabio was giving instructions and being overbearing and was not allowing him to perform. The people were always saying that Akpabio left a lot of debt and that they were paying the debt that Akpabio left behind. And I said, if Akpabio left the debt behind, Akpabio you come again kita give away burokokuru ampafi. Kibo is on burokokuru ampafi. Ke Akpabio akboro maka misong akebo isong aberi na mpo. Ya ekesem akebo isong mi ke mo akebo ri nam so akboro ma boy isong akebo through bank akebo through which bank akboro Udom akboro family pe isong Udom Akpabio ke kamake akọ ifang kekedo how much which was the where did the subhead under the budget that was approved the House of Assembly to pay? Because you cannot pay a debt that is not approved by the House of Assembly. You cannot pay a debt that you do not know what was owed for and where it was and the project that was done. And you cannot pay a debt which you cannot state which bank you are paying into and how much.
We need to stop
now, this is what I asked that Akpabio Foke Udom ko afonyong tang akporu Udom akpodo amuku kama emai kami song tangake kama kenso akbe.
Right,
Yes.
but before we go to another commissioner to respond, now tell Akwa Ibom people why you've said why they should not vote Governor Doniano for a second term. Obviously, now tell them why they should vote for Bungin Maikere as governor in Akwa Ibom State.
Thank you very much. I want Akwa Ibom people to consider that Udom administration has not been transparent in the management of public funds. I'm being careful using the word, and that is decent. Now, in the management of public funds. 2, Akwa Ibom people have not been told the exact truth about industrialization, the application of government funds for industrialization, other than simply saying you have we are provided enabling environment. 3, that the suffering of the people as workers is too much, and the people have to vote out the PDP, Udom-led PDP administration. 4, that the funds meant for local government has been trapped and kidnapped by the state government, and it's not released to the local government to handle and use their project.
You have told us what the governor has not done right.
Yes.
Now, we're giving you opportunity to tell us what your candidates will do right.
Yes.
So tell us what Obongin Simaikere has in stock for Akwa Ibom people. That's the question.
What we'll do is, first, we will allow the local government to function as a first tier of government. We will allow the funds that are meant for local government to go directly to the local government. Because if the funds went directly to the local government would have been able to take responsibility for certain of the obligations they have and would execute. And there would be government and governance at that level or that rung or that tier of government. We will also ensure that pension is paid to pensioners. We'll ensure that we provide and pay bursary to students. We will give scholarship to students giving criteria of the deserving. We will improve on the welfare of the lives of Akwa Ibom people. We will take care of the aged. We will take care of the students and the unemployed. We will create employment using ingenious ways of creating employment, and through direct employment and indirect employment. We will properly link with the federal government, and make and also attract more things from the federal government to come to the state, sitting together with the president in the same party.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go to the Commissioner for what's on the radio, Ephraim, Inyang, he joins us as well. Now tell us why Akwa Ibom people should not vote for the APC in the forthcoming elections. Let's start with that.
Before taking that question, let me do a few corrections. The distinguished senator has just said that there is unemployment in Akwa Ibom. But I want to believe that as an enlightened person is conscious that the National Bureau of Statistics published the national unemployment rate that has grown very strongly from 15 to 25 as a current between 2015 and now. It's not restricted to Akwa Ibom. That's number one. And before today, there was no other employment avenue in Akwa Ibom except the civil service. He went on to mention the people that were employed by the Akwa Ibom government. Nobody sacked anyone. Those people were fictitiously employed. When the details of the employment was made open, they had to go and they had to reschedule interview, and those of them that were qualified were re-employed by government. You don't get into government employment without having a certificate. It was not done properly. Right. And I want to ask the distinguished senator. No, you said the teachers. All right. He said teachers are not paid. No teacher is owed in Akwa Ibom as at today. The gratuity from 2002, this government paid, and Governor Udom was not the governor after 2002. Pensioners are paid up to 2016. So if he's saying that Akwa Ibom people are suffering, I believe that is absolutely not true. Now let's and then, very important. Distinguished senator, you have been with this government at the center, and thus far, in 3.5 years, getting to 4, I can't remember any project you've attracted to Akwa Ibom from the APC government at the center. And I want to ask you...
Now, we need to stop here. This Honorable Commissioner. You have to answer the question. Tell Akwa Ibom, we have given a chance to respond to the matter, but tell Akwa Ibom people why they should not vote for Obong Nsimakere as next governor.
Well, I want to say this in very clear terms. That the combination of the team that is Obong Nsimakere, I want to ask Akwa Ibom people, if Obong Nsimakere was Akipok chairman and he was sacked, what happened? Obong Nsimakere became deputy governor. He was sacked. What happened? Obong Nsimakere went to NDDC. He was sacked. And several petitions have been said. If these lower levels of responsibilities he failed, in my opinion, is it in the governorship that he would do better? I don't think so. I don't think that if you read their manifesto, their empty manifestos, he sat here and said that they will create ingenious ways of employing people. What is ingenious about employment? You have employment either in the public sector or in the private sector. In the years gone by, there was no private sector in Akwa Ibom. So what ingenious way would you create? The public service, the civil service is already chopped, is already full. And so that's what was meant. So if you ask me, today, the combination of the team, His Excellency Gospel Okpabio was the governor 2007 to 15, and Obong Omano Konomana, who was the secretary to government. Why were these ingenious ways not created for them to employ Akwa Ibom people? And if you ask me again, if you go through that manifesto, they did not specify the way and manner they will achieve it. And then, finally, and most important, this is important. Obong Nsimakere had an opportunity to sit at NEDC, managing the resources of 9 states. I can sit here without fear of contradiction, that he cannot come to Akwa Ibom to point to the project he has done as one of the states that was under NDDC with all the funds released. And these are the team people that will lead the next administration. I can sit down here and ask my distinguished senator, you were in the House of Representatives for 12 years. You were a senator for 4 years. Can we recall the much of project that you said sitting with the federal government of the same party? you are attracted to the state, because the few that were attracted were abandoned. Even the water project was abandoned. The water project in the depth was abandoned. The one between Mbiatok, Ekritam, and Mbiatok, Ekritam, 19-kilometer road. The resources were released, abandoned. The question is, if at these levels of responsibility, all the principal characters at the other side who have now returned
and
come together.
Mbiatok road, because I want to talk about it.
Mbiatok?
The one is from Uyoitam to Mbiatok to
Mbiatok to Ekritam.
Yeah.
That road was awarded, the funds gotten out, the road is not done. If you now look at the 12 water projects at Edep, I don't think any of them is completed.
Where?
Edep.
Where in Edep? Where is it?
Ose, Ibiono, that road that was given, the bridge is supposed to be 30 meters given to Bulletin, which you attracted. That bridge is not completed more than 6 years after it was awarded in 2008. Now, if you look at the conglomeration of these people, Godswill Akpabio, His Excellency, Obong Simaikere, who has had a test of positions and have not discharged. My distinguished senator, my brother, China, who has not yet succeeded in attracting anything with all the years from 1999 to the state. And Obong Okunomala, who was the secretary to government. I doubt, in sincerity as an Akwa Ibom son, that their combination will bring anything to Akwa Ibom. Right. So I believe that if Nsima Ikere failed as Akibok chairman, he failed as deputy governor, a man that was not seen to be good enough to be a deputy governor, I don't think Akwa Ibom people will be blinded to accept him as governor. The man who went to NDDC a few days ago, and they were busy running letters of resignation. I want to ask, and how people know, if a man resigns from a board, they don't sack the board. That board was sacked for fraud. And we have these facts together. And so I think that we have enough details, because if the last government...
There are many abandoned projects.
Yes.
Of NDDC.
Yes.
Let's go to road construction.
Yes.
Obong Simakere tried to assist.
Where?
In Akwa Ibom.
Where?
But in some quarters,
yes,
from information we had,
yes,
you led your team and you did not allow him to carry out some jobs.
Excuse me.
Okay, please let me respond to
no,
the things he said first.
No. Let me answer this question. Let me answer this question. I personally went to NDD's office at Eyen Housing, D-Line, not far from my house, and I met Frank. I said, if you have 200 roads to do in Akwa Ibom, let's sit together. Show me those roads, we allow you to do them. And we will do others. We have several others. That was never done. What NDDC did was that the governor went to Youth Avenue, a small distance from here, and announced when we did Thanksgiving for the Accountant General that that short distance of 500 meters should be done to link up Shelter Africa. That was on a Monday. It was a public holiday. On Wednesday, I went there and I saw people carrying caterpillar and pouring red earth on top of an old road. I asked 3 simple questions. Who is the contractor? Where is the design of this road? Okay, if that is not done, I took my phone and called the project supervisor in the office. One young man from Bayelsa. He got there. He said he has no idea of that project. And the young men who sat there said they don't know the contractor. They don't know the design. They were just sent from Port Harcourt to do the road. I want to sit here emphatically and say, we have thousands of roads in Akwa Ibom. If NDDC had wanted to have an impact on the lives of our people in Akwa Ibom, it would have been a very simple thing on taking on roads that nobody has gone to do. So the Youth Avenue today was done and completed. But if I may ask the question, all the roads they did off Abak Road in 2016, okay, all those roads around Eswene Avenue, which went under at the next rainy season and have all collapsed, are those the roads you are talking about? Because in those roads that they did, nobody had an interface with them. So if Youth Avenue was one road, we said, if you don't have the design, you cannot do it. Couldn't it have been possible in 3 years to have done other roads?
I was thinking maybe you're one of the...
No. There was no any interface except they build low quality roads. They build them without design. And the Youth Avenue is on record. I still have it. My interface with those young men. How can you come to interface on the road? No design, no contractor. You simply brought equipment. You are doing an intervention. First, you take out the unsuitable. You clean out the old road. Then you now bring in the topsoil or the red earth and compact. It's complete new construction. Then what they did was to begin to patch that already bad road. And let me tell you, is Youth Avenue, did it just occur to them that week the governor made pronouncement? Because Youth Avenue had been impassable over the years. So if the governor made a pronouncement on a Monday and somebody showed up on a Wednesday, then something is wrong.
You told our Iphone people why they should not vote APC in the fourth election.
Yes.
Now, in the same vein, tell them why they should vote PDP. After which you'll respond to what he says.
Now, please hear me. Governor Dom Emmanuel has restored peace to this state that has brought the industries, which is bringing prosperity. Before today, it was a daily case of killing, kidnapping. Our state was considered a violent state. Right. It's on record. He's done that. Governor Dom Emmanuel has gone ahead to restore dignity to man in the health sector. The day we visited Ikorokoro Hospital, there were more snakes in Ikorokoro, in a teen and general hospital, in the one in Ikoro. The secondary health sector in our state had completely collapsed. Everybody went to teaching hospital, which is supposed to be a referral hospital. So Governor Udom Emmanuel has restored the health sector. Udom Emmanuel has cleaned up the backlog of gratuity and all the funds that were being owed. He has, for the first time, got an investor to be interested in our state that is driving the industrialization drive. And let me tell you, Governor Udom Emmanuel has gone ahead to establish in the mind of our people that the time and season has come, that we all must have something to do to create what we need, not being dependent on a government that cannot individually provide for everybody. Governor Udom Emmanuel has been able to establish and restore the dignity of school. When Premium Times took up the nature of a school, they said it was free and compulsory, but there were no classrooms to learn. The Premium Times program came in the early life of this administration, February 2016, when Udom Emmanuel was barely 6 months in office. The question is, did all those schools collapse just in 6 months? It has taken time now. You can go around the 31 local government and find brand new schools standing everywhere. Governor Udom Emmanuel, if not for anything else, has been able to establish that we can bring the foreign direct investment coming next to Lagos. Shows that given another 4 years, we'll be rubbing shoulders with Lagos, because any economy without the private sector cannot be driven. Any state that is dependent on the federation account, which my brother believes is federal government money, which I've been able to correct today, will not be able to run the state. That's why many of the states that are dependent on the federal government are not able to pay salary. So the private sector in Akwa Ibom has come alive, has come active, and the road infrastructure that people were discussing, I want to sit here and I want to be corrected, were done haphazardly. They were mostly political roads where you go to an area and you take a portion of a road, you construct because maybe a distinguished senator lives along that road and it terminates in the middle of the bush. What this government has done is not construction of roads. We've done construction of network of roads. If you see what we've done, we are linking up roads everywhere to create the environment that allow for economic activities to take place. What we met was completely different. So Governor Udom Emmanuel has been able to establish himself as a very transparent leader. If my brother, the distinguished senator, sits here and said, Governor Udom Emmanuel has not been transparent, I want to ask, NTA, Abuja, is a federal government parastatal, and the boss, Mustafa, the secretary to the federal government of the federation, is a federal government appointment. They awarded Governor Udom Emmanuel, and they gave him an award as a transparent leader. So I want to ask whether it was an error or what happened. Was it lobbied for? Because in all truth, one thing is very clear, that this governor has been absolutely transparent in his dealing And if it can be recognized at the center by the government at the center, which my brother, the distinguished senator, is part of, it means that this governor is absolutely transparent. And to round it off, if the distinguished senator will be willing for us to go further and bring the details of what was done in his time to the public domain, what was done in the time of God's will to the public domain, the activities of the man they are asking to come and lead Akwa Ibom to the public domain in documentary form. I think Akwa Ibom people will be for the first time very privileged to know that the characters parading themselves as the best option to Governor Emmanuel do not measure up.
Right. A quick response, and then we round off.
No. Now, I want to say that he has asked, he said about the things I brought, and I think if I want to do it, then we'll take about 4 or 5 more hours.
We have about 7 minutes.
Now, he's asked that, he said that Nsima was sacked from the NDDC and was sacked from the state government as deputy governor. I think he's not having the facts correct, or he is deliberately, and not from his heart, telling the truth. The NDDC board is always for 4 years. And if a person is appointed into that board and his tenure, he does not complete his tenure for any reason, the successor to that office will take the office for the remaining tenure. Now, you remember that Sir Danabia was the managing director of the NDDC. After 2 years, when this government came in, he completed 2 years, and he was relieved of the board was dissolved. Now, they had to constitute another board to be headed by another Akwa Ibom son as successor to complete the term of Akwa Ibom as managing director. So Nsima was brought in to complete that term. As a matter of fact, that board lived about a month or a little less than 2 months beyond its time, because the board was to complete the term that Basidanabia board was started and was to complete. So Nsima was not sacked. He completed the term and resigned. And of course, when the law says that if you have to contest election, you must resign 30 days to the election. No, at least 30 days to the date of the election. Nsima is the candidate of the APC. So he had to resign about 35, 38 days to the date of the election, you know. So he resigned to contest election. And having resigned, the president looked and saw that the board had completed the residue of the term of that board for 2 years, which was to complete the 2 years of the Basidanabia-led board. They had to dissolve the board. And dissolving the board, since the Senate is on vacation for election, they could not have kept a vacuum. They now appointed interim management made up of acting managing director, acting executive director of finance, acting executive director of project. So Nsima was not sacked. Then, as deputy governor, he had issues which was private misunderstanding, and they resolved it. After resolving the issues, he says he had to pursue his business. He resigned. He was not impeached. You cannot sack a governor. You cannot sack a deputy governor. You can only impeach him. But if he was no more willing to go on or has something more to pursue, you know, he can resign. Nsima Ekere resigned as deputy governor to pursue his business as managing director of Ekere, as principal partner of Ekere and Associates, and his other international businesses, where he was running a chain of businesses which is employing a lot of people. Then you come to talk about the Akipok and the power plant. He ran it successfully. And when he was the chairman of Akipok and managing the power plant, you had light from that power plant. After that, when this government came in, they shut down the power plant, shut down Ikorobasi, shut down power in most areas, and the place is no more working. The place no more working. Therefore, Nsima has a lot to show as signs of. Now, in terms of the federal project, I mean the NDDC project, which he said they did not do a lot of projects. Akwa Ibom has, there is a standard in the sharing of money that is in the NDDC. I drafted the NDDC Act, and I say it with respect, with all sense of responsibility.
Just to point out to you,
yes,
that the tenure of NDDC board is every 4 years.
4 years.
Not 2 years. Well, you said 2 years earlier.
No. I say it's 4 years.
Okay.
But when one person starts and does not complete, somebody operates from that state will also go to complete. Now,
but that came in 2013.
That
Let's
was
get it right.
2015.
So,
he completed.
No, 2013. It should have ended in 2017.
Yes.
So what happened?
No, there was a break.
Where?
When there was a sole administrator acting MD for a period of about 1 year, semi-military or something. Semi-military. Yeah. So that is the break. But so Nsima had to come and do 2 years that remained.
When Nsima was appointed, a circular from SGF's office said it was for a first term, 4 years.
No, it wasn't. That was the Attorney General interpreted it and said, look, it is not. And they were to complete the tenure because you cannot, a secular cannot amend a law. The law says you will complete the tenure, the unexhausted tenure. Now we go to round up. Now he said that there were a lot of projects I did not bring or I brought and did not complete. He mentioned the water project at Mbiato. I did that water project for Anietiokon in Mbiato. The water project at Mbiato, I did it. Then the water project for the Senator Anietiokon and the Commissioner for Finance Akanokon. When you talk of the road from Uyoitam to Mbiato through Ekritam down to Uran, that road was attracted by me on NDDC, and Anietiokon is driving through that road now. It is the terminal portion of that road that has serious erosion problem which has cut, and it does not. It is being intervened by way of a redesign that will now take care of that erosion project. Now, if you talk of you took over some projects which were not done, I remember that I attracted the road from from Mbiatoitam, Ekritam, Ibiakuran to the Planet Radio, and then to we used to call School of Accountancy up to Nduetong. Yes.
Is it?
I brought that road.
Are you doing it?
No, listen. And when the contractors wanted to start the road, the state government came and said, look, they want to do the road and that NDDC should vacate. The NDDC vacated the road, but they have not done the road today. All right. Now, listen.
No,
listen.
We need to
okay,
go.
we are going to. We'll go now.
But before we go.
Please, one minute.
Okay.
Now, on that road now, when there is a portion that Julius Beja dredged out water, brought sand to construct the Calabar Road, and they left it impassable for over 6 years. I have brought the Ecological Fund office, and I've awarded contract at the rate of 1.01 billion, 1.017 billion naira. And Ecological Fund office has now opened up that place, and it is now passable. Now, if you talk of other projects that I brought, the road, the project, even the road, yes, all the
we need to go. We need to go.
So I had the greatest thing I have done for Akwa Ibom State is to work and call the abolition of the onshore-offshore dichotomy, which has brought the money to the state. And all the roads, including the bridge, which is being done by Bulletin. If you go there now, I was there 3 days ago, you'll see the pile of iron rod by Bulletin Nigeria Limited, which is now taking up the road. And of course, you can even see it on
that's your final word. Let him have his final word.
No, I haven't had my final word yet.
That is your final word.
Okay. I would like to tell the distinguished senator that every fact that is on ground today points to one very simple fact.
That Nsima should be made the next governor of
That
Akwa Ibom
Nsima
State.
Ekere
And
and the team arranging to bring him have not been able to put anything together to show as evidence for Akwa Ibom people that the best thing for Akwa Ibom people is for every man to continue as governor and maintain the peace. Thank you, because Akwa Ibom people know it's true.
And she showed me by the power of her experiences that you, with enough faith and the discipline and the hard work, can achieve just about anything. And I'm a great believer in that. She's ultimately my inspiration, and she keeps me going. I invite you to say it from CNN. What's your inspiration?